Everybody on the ground.
I was dismembering the body, and while cutting it up, I decided to try it.
Out of these men in the cells, a third of them will go crazy. Had they executed me, it would have spared me all this torture. So you knew in advance that you would kill her?
Yes, exactly.
Escaping is impossible. With these bars, all of the constant alarms, always being watched, it's simply not possible.
Imagine living in a prison where you are never allowed to sit on your bed during the day, where guards force you to walk bent at a 90-degree angle, where cameras watch you every second, and where many inmates quietly lose the ability to think like normal humans. This is not science fiction. This is Black Dolphin Prison, Russia's most feared prison, home to serial killers, cannibals, terrorists, and men considered too dangerous for the normal prison system. But the real horror of Black Dolphin isn't violence. It's something much deeper. Because according to behavioral experts, this prison may be one of the most psychologically destructive environments ever created. And most people completely miss why. Black Dolphin Prison sits near the Kazakhstan border in one of the coldest, emptiest regions of Russia. Officially, it's called Penal Colony Number 6, but nobody remembers that name. People remember Black Dolphin because of the Black Dolphin statue outside the prison gates, and because almost nobody leaves. Many inmates here are serving life sentences for crimes so brutal that even hardened prison guards struggle to talk about them. Some murdered entire families. Some were serial killers. Some committed acts so disturbing they were hidden from the public. But here's what makes Black Dolphin different from almost every prison on Earth. The goal is not rehabilitation. It's total control. Former inmates describe life there as existing inside a machine. Every movement is controlled. Every second is monitored. Even walking becomes psychological conditioning. When prisoners leave their cells, they are forced to bend forward with their hands cuffed behind their backs, while guards tightly escort them through the hallways. At first glance, this looks like a security measure, but experts in behavioral psychology understand something deeper is happening. The prison isn't just restricting movement, it's slowly reshaping identity itself. There's a concept in neuroscience called learned helplessness. Researchers discovered that animals exposed to constant loss of control eventually stopped trying to escape, even when escape became possible. Over time, the brain adapts to powerlessness. Motivation collapses. Decision-making weakens. Hope slowly disappears. And Black Dolphin appears designed around this exact principle. Inmates wake up around 6 a.m., lights stay on nearly all day. Cells remain under constant surveillance. Prisoners cannot rest freely, move naturally, or speak freely. They cannot even predict small parts of their own routine. And here's the terrifying part most people don't realize. Human beings need tiny amounts of personal control to stay psychologically stable. Even choosing when to stand, when to stretch, or when to look out a window helps the brain maintain identity. Remove enough of those micro-decisions, and the mind begins changing in ways that are extremely difficult to reverse. This is why long-term isolation is considered dangerous by many psychologists, not because silence is painful, but because the brain slowly loses the stimulation required to maintain a healthy sense of self. At Black Dolphin, some experts believe the system creates a state closer to psychological freezing than punishment. The prisoner survives physically while mentally becoming smaller over time. Most people think the human mind breaks through violence, but elite trauma researchers have discovered something more disturbing. The brain often breaks faster through predictable hopelessness. When pain becomes routine, the nervous system stops reacting normally. This is called shutdown adaptation. It's similar to what happens in extreme trauma environments. The brain conserves energy, emotion becomes numb, time begins feeling distorted. Some former prisoners from extreme isolation systems reported forgetting what normal conversation feels like. Others describe feeling emotionally disconnected from reality itself. And there's another hidden factor almost nobody talks about: lack of novelty. The human brain evolved to constantly process changing environments, new faces, new sounds, movement, nature, sunlight, social interaction. But in highly controlled prisons like Black Dolphin, sensory variation collapses. The same walls, the same routine, the same silence, day after day, month after month, year after year. Neuroscientists believe environments like this can alter stress regulation systems inside the brain itself, not temporarily, sometimes permanently, which means the prison may continue existing inside the inmate even after release. But the darkest part of Black Dolphin isn't the cells, it's the philosophy behind them. Because this prison reflects a terrifying idea: that some humans are beyond redemption. And once society accepts that idea, the purpose of prison changes completely. It no longer becomes correction, it becomes containment, a human warehouse. And this creates a dangerous psychological effect not only for prisoners, but for guards too. Studies on extreme prison systems show that environments built entirely around domination can slowly affect everyone inside them. Guards become emotionally detached, empathy decreases, aggression normalizes. The system begins reshaping human behavior on both sides of the bars. This is why some criminologists warn that hyper-extreme prisons can become self-reinforcing psychological ecosystems. Fear creates control. Control creates emotional distance. Emotional distance makes harsher treatment easier. And over time, the environment itself becomes more psychologically extreme. In a strange way, Black Dolphin may reveal less about criminals and more about what happens when humans build systems entirely around fear. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people watching this video imagine they would stay mentally strong inside a place like Black Dolphin. But behavioral experts know something most people don't. The human brain is far more environment dependent than we like to believe. Your personality, emotional stability, and even your sense of reality are partially built by the environment around you. Remove sunlight, remove freedom, remove unpredictability, remove meaningful human connection, and eventually the brain starts adapting for survival instead of growth. That adaptation may keep someone alive, while simultaneously destroying what makes them psychologically human. And maybe that's the real horror of Black Dolphin. Not that it contains monsters, but that it demonstrates how fragile the human mind actually is. Because under the right conditions, almost any brain can begin changing in ways we barely understand. Black Dolphin remains one of the most feared prisons on Earth, not simply because of who is locked inside, but because of what the prison reveals about control, fear, and the hidden limits of the human mind. And maybe the most disturbing question is this: if an environment can slowly reshape a person's identity, then how much of who we are is really our choice?